is Notsam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Ladies and gentlemen, here with us at this time, the world champion of love, back here with us, Corey Graves. What's the haps, man?
Hey, man, I feel like I should just be a staple on your show. I feel like I've probably been on it more than anybody.
I think so. You were certainly the first.
It's amazing that you still have a podcast, that I've been on it that many times, and it still exists. So I guess that means I'm,
that it hasn't been thrown off the air yet. Yeah. Well, you were the first two-time guest. Now it's been on. We've been on long enough that there have been other two-time guests, but I don't know anybody. I mean, you've done multiple live shows. You're also the only person that's been on the podcast and also come on the Sirius show as like just the sit-in co-host for the day. So, I mean, I guess I kind of put you through broadcasting school. I got you ready for this podcast endeavor.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily an accurate description as to what you've added to my career, but you have certainly helped. You give me a platform to really shine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You wouldn't. So when WWE and you were talking about launching this podcast, you weren't describing me as your broadcasting mentor?
No.
Oh, that's a shock. Okay, that's kind of how I was framing this for everybody, but I guess I'll have to double back on that a little bit.
I apologize for ruining your plan.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Well, I thought it was funny that this announcement was made that After the Bell is launching, because I thought just as you were finally not having 150 jobs in the WWE, you were like, okay, maybe now's the time to pick up a new one.
Yeah, I basically I had a total mental meltdown when I found out I wouldn't be calling Raw and SmackDown anymore, so I demanded that they give me a podcast.
That was it, right? Because I know you were so like, I can't take not calling all the matches.
Yeah, I need to call everything. Even now, I find myself on my couch on Monday night doing commentary to myself.
They were like, okay, what if we give you Total Divas and your own podcast and we'll launch a network for you? And you're like, all right, well, if that's all I can get, that's all I can get.
Right. It's not enough, but it'll do.
So talk to me about your podcast. Talk to me about After the Bell. What is the format? Because I listened to the preview, and it sounds like we're going to have interviews, I guess, every week. You know, you're launching with Triple H, and I heard many other voices on the 1 minute preview clip that was released on iTunes. Is this going to be the type of thing where you do an interview every week? Is it going to be topical? What type of format are we working with?
Yes. To all the things that you just suggested, yes.
Okay.
It's still early, and it's in its infancy, so to speak, as to what the podcast will look like.
Mm-hmm.
As I am lost in my hotel. It's tremendous. So I thought I was multitasking. I'm trying to make it to a production meeting, and I can't. I'm already 15 minutes late. Yeah, so I got to promote my podcast. So this is taking precedence today. Yeah. So
Isn't that amazing that you're missing your production meeting for the day job? Like that's a mistake, people. Oh, you're already making the mistakes. Like, and I guess it's just being allowed, because I always watch like people go like, okay, I'll pick up a secondary job, and then the day job starts to be like, no, it's okay. I'll concentrate on the secondary.
I am literally lost in my hotel right now. This might be more entertaining than anything I can tell you about my podcast.
Where are you in the hotel?
I don't know, because there's a walkway and there's a bridge, and I don't know where any of the things that I need are.
Is the hotel connected to the arena?
No, there's like a hotel, and then there's another tower, and then there's I have no idea what's happening right now.
So what are you looking for?
Anyway.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the bridge.
Okay.
Back to the lobby.
Oh, so you can't get to the lobby?
No, I can't get to the lobby. This is where my vehicle is, and Michael Cole is surely upset with me because I'm very late.
Yeah, you would think there would just be an elevator with a button that says L, and it would take you where you need to go.
No, there is, but it's not the lobby that I need to go to.
It's the other lobby.
I think I'm going to just walk. I'm going to walk out the front door and walk across the street to the other part of the hotel that I could see. Anyway, After the Bell it will be topical, and I think that's going to help decide which guests I have on said podcast based on who's making the noise, who's in the news, so to speak,
and
be able to sort of prove or disprove certain rumors and things of that nature. We did a couple test interviews more for technical purposes, and it was really cool. I was really pleased with what we got out of it. Now I'm outside of the hotel and there's a jackhammer. So
oh my God,
really,
this is
we're
not.
really testing this.
This is not good.
Yeah. It was really cool to sit down and not necessarily long form in the standard wrestling podcast of having an hour to talk about things.
Yeah.
But to be able to have a full-blown conversation and give things context, because that's the one thing that's missing from so much of social media. As you know, you get a quote out of context, and then people, jump down your throat or they misunderstand your intent, and it just becomes a whole disaster and just makes the internet more negative than it already is. So it'll be cool to be able to sit down with, whoever's in the news that week or whoever's the most hated guy in the business that day, which, as we know, alternates hourly.
Definitely.
And really get their perspective and kind of humanize them. You know what I mean?
So,
you do a great job with it when you give a platform to guys to actually talk, and you get to learn who they are as opposed to what they did on television for that 3-minute segment that sucked.
Yeah, I mean, actually having a conversation about okay, well, what were you thinking when this happened? Well, what was the intent? Well, what was the result like? Or even, when Seth Rollins is in the news and his one little quote goes everywhere and everyone's got an opinion, I would love to hear Seth Rollins have a conversation about why he said that and what he really meant and what it was based on and everything, the context, add some context.
And it's funny that you bring up Seth Rollins because he is also one of my guests for, hold on one second.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I found Cole.
Okay, good. But you walked in, so Cole saw you walk in the front door instead of meet you in the lobby on the other way. You came in through the outside.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
Because I've never had this experience before. But yeah, Seth Rollins is actually one of the first guests on the first week, so I'll be excited to have a conversation with him as opposed to just addressing whatever tweet he sent out.
So you got Triple H and Seth on the first episode?
Yeah, also Bailey.
Wow.
And Nature Boy Ric Flair.
How long is this podcast?
7 days.
Oh, wow. Well, it'll be worth it. I think I'm going to listen.
Longest podcast.
I can't wait.
I think our goal is to over-deliver, obviously, on this first one.
Yeah. Are you the move, I think, is for you to get with WWE and say, look, you need to stop giving other podcasters access to guests whatsoever so that everything I do is an exclusive.
I'm actually going to cut you and everybody off access to our superstars because it's my show now, and I'm taking over the world of podcasting.
If you can somehow get Bruce Pritchard banned from doing Conrad podcasts, I think you will be able to be the king.
That's the goal. He's first on my list.
Have you thought about adding a segment to your show simply called Shut Up Saxton, where you would go to Byron Saxton, get his take on whatever's going on? It doesn't even have to be in wrestling. Byron Saxton's take on a regular basis is missed. I am interested anytime I see Byron Saxton on what his take on anything that's on his mind is. Maybe going to Byron, getting his take on something, and then, if you wanted to tell him to shut up, you could.
I think you and Byron should launch a podcast on the Sam Roberts Network.
You think so?
But then I have an excuse to ban you both from the podcast.
What's it like now? I mean, you've gone through one pay-per-view as only the SmackDown commentator. It's the first time ever that there have been these dual-branded pay-per-views, and you have been able to go with the rest of the commentary team and not call every single match. What is it like for you to be sitting in a locker room for half of the pay-per-views for the first time ever?
Well, I'm going to correct you in that I wasn't in the locker room. Cole and I were sitting in the little corral area.
Oh.
Behind where the bell ringer is. But we watch it. It's cool to be able to get that perspective of a fan again and be sort of removed a little bit and not have the audio aspect of it and just kind of listen to the crowd. It was at Hell in a Cell, and I got to watch Sasha and Becky basically as a fan from a great front row seat, and it was awesome. It was amazing how much you can still enjoy this business when you can remove yourself from it a little bit.
Yeah, like you don't have any responsibility. You're just allowed to watch and go like, oh, I see what's happening here.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's almost a novel concept. I've been sitting through every second of television for 3 years to go, oh, wait, this is fun to just listen to the crowd and watch the match.
And I don't have to think of something clever to say right now. I don't have to have an opinion on this. I can just watch it.
Exactly.
How has life changed since you've become a reality show star? You're one of the Total Divas. I've watched you. I've seen it all go down. People are very, very interested now.
Well, there are now paparazzi following me everywhere that I go.
I'm surprised you could make it all the way through your hotel journey without the paparazzi hunting you down.
That was why I was trying to avoid the paparazzi, so I went to the wrong floor, and then I walked out of the hotel before I walked back in the other side of the hotel and was greeted by a smiling Michael Cole. There were photographers everywhere.
I can only imagine.
At least I was pretending. I was pretending there were photographers everywhere. It made me feel less stupid for getting lost in a hotel.
Do you enjoy the process of having cameras around you filming that reality show? I mean, it kind of seems like a nightmare to me, but I don't know. I've never done it.
Yeah, it's not something I was looking to make a habit out of. It was kind of an accidental occurrence in the first place. It's really, really wild because they say, oh, be yourself. But I can't necessarily be myself when there's cameras on all the time because that's how you end up in jail.
Right. So do you end up, like, you started dating Carmella, obviously, and she's on the show. So does it just become one of these things like, look, if this relationship is going to be anything serious, you kind of got to be on this TV show with me? Or did E come to you and say, yeah?
Yeah, it was a hybrid of both.
Yeah.
Mostly the first.
Right. Her going like, this is a part of what I do.
It was nothing that I had planned or but that said, it was fun. The crew that we worked with was a lot of fun. They took us out and put us in some pretty fun situations. I didn't hate it. I have not watched it back yet, as that was a pretty bizarre, dark period of my life, as you know.
Yes.
So, yeah, it is what it is. But it's weird. The social media response to it has been almost unanimously positive, which is weird.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that makes it uncomfortable for me. I'm not used to people being nice on Twitter.
Right, because you've never had anything that's universally positive on social media.
Right.
It is. I mean, they're portraying you guys as a very sweet couple. If there are no cameras around,
That's great editing. That's great editing. I'm actually not that sweet in person.
That's what I was going to ask. I saw like an interview with Carmella recently when I was Googling you before this, and she was asked if you were a heel in real life, and she was like, oh, no, he's actually romantic, and he's very sweet. And I'm like, who does she know? Of course he is. This is just him.
Yeah, I've actually got her bamboozled. That's what it is. I've got her fooled. And I'm not who everyone thinks. Actually, I'm not who she thinks I am. I am who everyone else thinks I am.
Right. Are you the type that actually will take her out on a day, go dancing, go buy fancy chocolates, go through all this, or do you have help from reality show producers teaching you how to do a good date?
Well, I just want to say that I just spent 2 days in New York City, one of which was her birthday.
Whoa.
And I think I racked up some pretty good points on my own.
What did you do?
Went to quite a fancy dinner. Wandered around the city aimlessly. There was some dancing. There was some. Hang on, I'm getting valets now. This is what happens. This is why you can't talk to me. I can't multitask. That's
okay. We're getting a real behind-the-scenes look into the life of Corey Graves. This is the real reality show.
Yeah, well, there's actually Total Divas cameras following me right now.
Oh, really? You and Michael Cole together on Total Divas.
Just me and Cole walking in like a couple of schlubs, trying not to be late for the meeting. I'm also carrying my dog right now.
Pancake.
Pancake. He's a bigger star than I am, which is crazy. He's got like 10,000 Instagram followers. I don't know.
I do love that you guys got that little girl dog. Like, it's perfect for a girl to carry around. And every time I've seen that dog, you're the one carrying it.
Yeah, because he's masculine as hell.
I was just thinking that too. Yeah. But that sounds like you had a very very nice time there in New York, even without reality show.
He was very happy. We stayed in a nice hotel. We had some nice experiences throughout the day. I mean, it's New York City. You can't not have fun in New York City.
Do you enjoy being in the two-man booth on SmackDown? You and Michael Cole are together, so if you want to change your wording so he doesn't know what you're talking about.
He's standing right beside me, so I'm not going to put him over. I'm not going to let you know how much fun we have now, just with the two of us doing our thing on SmackDown. That's not the case at all. I dread every minute of it. He's overbearing. He's very mean to me.
There's bullying, I've heard. I've heard there's bullying.
Yeah. So no, it's actually awesome. It's refreshing and it's fun to just kind of go out there, and it's effortless. Like he and I, we've worked together long enough to where it's, you know, you just kind of feel it. And I know where he's going. He knows where I'm going. And aside from when I, you know, have a brain freeze in the middle of a graphic or something, everything's pretty smooth.
Is it the first time you've done a two-man booth?
Okay. No, I actually started in a two-man booth with.
Oh yeah.
Well, I didn't start, but Phillips and I did it in NXT.
Right.
So.
Can you believe?
It's kind of fun to go, and Cole's always there and always helped me when I was learning commentary to begin with. So it was kind of a seamless transition when I got to start working with him on Raw.
Have you talked to Dio at all since he started Raw? Because I feel like you're the one guy who could kind of, you know, I don't know, sympathize with what he's going for. Because I can't imagine kind of going from like, oh, I'm going to be a wrestler to like, oh, let's try this commentary thing. And then, you know, within weeks going, well, yeah, you're going to be the guy on Raw. And it's like, what? I thought we were still learning.
No, I can't sympathize with him because he literally went from, I'm going to learn how to do commentary.
Yeah.
I'm doing Monday Night Raw. That's, you know, I at least was doing NXT for about 2 years before I got called up.
Right.
So, yeah, I've talked to him. I have chatted with him. I get along great with him. I think he's got a good future. It's just a matter of reps, man. There's no substitute for experience, and he'll get it.
How long did it?
Maybe it could be a blessing, you know what I mean, to be thrown right into the fire.
Oh, I'm sure.
You have to succeed or die, so.
How long did it take you? I remember like when we were first talking, when you first started doing commentary, you were like, it's kind of weird. I'm learning. You know, you weren't a person who thought you were going to talk for a living. You thought you were going to wrestle for a living. How long into the game was it like, oh, yeah, I could do this with my eyes closed?
I mean, it was a while to get to that point. But as far as reaching a level of comfort, it was toward I would say, I'm terrible with time periods, but I remember like DIY and Revival, their series, and they did a takeover match in Toronto.
Right.
I don't know what year that was, but I remember that kind of being one of the matches that I was like, okay, I got this now. I can be myself. I can be over the top to an extent, but I can also, you know, do what I do. And that always stands out to me. It's kind of like okay, I got this.
Do you feel any different knowing that you're on Fox and that there is this sort of like importance put on the show now? Because we all know what a big deal the Fox TV deal was, the fact that you're on network TV, the fact that, you know, Fox as a network appears to be heavily invested in what this show is. Do you feel that pressure? Do you put that out of your head and go, I'm just going to go do my job?
Yeah, it's definitely the latter. I've gotten to this point. I mean, I've called however many WrestleManias front to back, and I just go to work. I think about it after the fact. Like what really stoked me was watching the NFL and seeing a SmackDown commercial and hearing my voice.
Right.
Like when I was at home, I was like, whoa, that's insane to me. Like I just broke into an NFL game for a commercial with my voice and my friends and our company. And yeah, so that was a little wild. But as far as on the air, not really. I mean, it doesn't feel any different to me. Other than, like I said, it's cool to just work with Cole. And I feel like, I know it's only been a few weeks, but I think people are eventually going to realize how good Cole is. He's not beside me anymore, so I can actually say that. But when we have some time and we get a proper match to call, and it's not the crazy traffic that is a typical television show, I think people are going to go, oh, maybe we were a little too hard on this dude. Because when he gets down to do what we do, what we can do, he's the best. And I'm excited for that to happen just on a personal side, because I know, you know, he loves this business as much as anybody I've ever met. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been here for 23 years. And to actually call a match and call wrestling, which, you know, this is still in its infancy, this whole Fox deal. So the shows are still kind of taking shape and figuring out where their footing is. But, whether it be on a pay-per-view coming up or something, in the future, when Cole and I get to call something and just do what we are capable of, trust me, we know what the opinion is and why it is, and there's reasons for it, and we're not disagreeing with anybody. But when we get the restraints taken off, I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it always kind of surprised me, and maybe it's just because I'm a little too close to it and know a little too much, that, like, people didn't really give Cole very much credit for the fact that, like, those couple weeks, I think it was over the summer, that you were off doing other stuff, Cole kind of shifted into, he did it on SmackDown once, and he did it on an episode of Raw midway through the episode, where he shifted into analyst, instead of, play-by-play guy, and it's like,
not, despite what the internet says,
yeah,
the guy actually knows what the hell he's talking about.
Is there any part of you, as you head towards the launch of this podcast, like, it sounds like you're going to need to record an episode every week. It doesn't sound like this is something you're going to be able to put in the can and go like, okay, if I have a super busy week, I'll bank a couple.
Yeah, no, I mean, the plan is we want this to be current and timely and relevant. So, I mean, we're gonna record it every Tuesday for a Wednesday launch. So.
Oh, are you going to record are you going to record your part in a studio and then record the interviews? Like, what? How are you going to do it?
No, it's all set up. It's in the studios. Hang on. Yeah, the studio's all set up in Stamford, and we're gonna we'll record, whether it be via Skype with our guests or phone or however we decide to do it. But every Tuesday, so it'll be fresh.
That's
so
perfect.
We'll cover, that previous NXT, then SmackDown on Friday, then the night before Raw, and then leading into NXT again that same night the podcast drops. So it'll be timely and relevant. That's why I'm excited to be able to say, hey, something crazy happened on Raw. Can I get that guy the next thing and really be the first, source to bring you the information?
Yeah, I love that. And I love it way more than you having to, like, travel with a recorder and tinker around the locker room going like, hey, dude, do you have a minute to be on my podcast? Like, that there's actually a system in place.
It's going to be the furthest thing from that. But so I just walked into the production meeting and that I had mentioned before that I'm not late for. I'm actually on time.
Good.
However, it dawned on me that this arena was the site of the greatest wrestling segment in the history of the world.
Which segment?
The electric chair.
Oh, no, you're back in the electric chair building.
I walked into the production meeting room and I went, oh, no. I remember this place for all the wrong reasons.
You just started getting chills, and you're like, what is that feeling? Why am I feeling this right now?
Yeah, so that's what it is. I'm back here where it all began. So hopefully I can sort of lay that to rest tonight and focus on my new beginning after the bell and not the electric chair. Although I might try to make the electric chair a segment on my podcast, just because of the overwhelming demand for the electric chair to come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, I read it every day. Like, that's the one thing that fans feel like WWE has missed the boat on, is not enough electric chair.
Right. I mean, I built the chair by hand. I wrote the segment. I did all of it by myself. So I was very proud of it, and I feel like it was maybe one of the most underappreciated genius moments in the history of the business.
I think so, too. And if you're going to have a segment called the electric chair, the person should be sitting in an electric chair that is not plugged in. I think it's super important.
It was a metaphor, Sam. It was a metaphor because it was, this interview is going to be so electric that you feel like your eyes might bulge out of your skull.
And then you get those, like, questions that have been on everybody's mind, like, who would you like to be in the mixed match challenge with?
Yeah, I mean, I know that's what I was wondering. That little girl had the wherewithal to get it. I would have never gotten that. I mean, you want the hard-hitting questions, we're going to get them for you.
So, okay, if you want, I don't want to keep you from your production meeting. Would you want to just put your phone on speaker and we'll just kind of listen in?
Yeah, that'd be great. And also, my podcast got canceled before it started. I now work for a different company with different letters.
Well, look, Graves, I'm assuming the production meeting. ESPN, just to be clear.
Right.
ESPN are the letters.
Guy now. I'm a broadcaster.
Right. That's very smart, Corey. You're maturing. You are maturing.
It took 35 years, but I'm making strides.
All right. Well, I'm assuming your production meeting at the time of this recording starts in 1 minute. Is that right?
That sounds about accurate.
Okay, so I should probably let you go?
I mean, if you value my job, then maybe.
I mean, do I value your
No,
job
this is yeah.
more than I
This is not
value
just
mine?
all
Like,
employees.
would I?
Sam's gonna go, hey, I heard Graves got canned for talking on his phone during the production meeting. You guys need someone to call SmackDown?
Yeah, and not only would I say, do you guys need somebody to call SmackDown, but I'd call every dirt sheet and I go, do you want to hear the phone call? I got it. It's my phone call.
There it is. See?
Yeah,
You're a sly man.
there's no loyalty. There's no, and then you turn around and you'd hear Dio on Jim and Sam every morning, and you're like, what happened to my life?
I'm going to try to put the electric chair behind me tonight, and WWE After the Bell starts this 30th. What day does your stuff drop?
Mondays.
Okay, Monday. Great. So 2 days after you hear this, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you get your podcast. After the Bell, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WWE Graves.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Enjoy your production meeting, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Sammy.